Today, we embark on an enlightening journey through the rich tapestry of US history, exploring the key events, milestones, and transformations that have shaped this great nation. From its humble beginnings as a collection of colonies to its emergence as a global superpower, the United States has undergone a remarkable journey filled with triumphs, challenges, and profound changes. Join me as we delve into the annals of US history, spanning centuries of growth, struggle, and progress. The colonial era. Our story commences in the early 1600s, when European explorers, including the English, Spanish, Dutch, and French, ventured to the shores of North America. The first successful English settlement was established at Jamestown, Virginia, in 1607. The colonists faced numerous hardships, including harsh weather, unfamiliar terrain, and conflicts with Native American populations. However, they persevered, and more colonies soon followed, spreading along the eastern seaboard. By the mid-1700s, the 13 colonies had established themselves as prosperous trading hubs, but tensions with Great Britain escalated due to issues like taxation without representation. In 1776, the colonies declared their independence, setting the stage for the American Revolutionary War. The American Revolution and the birth of a nation. The American Revolution, 1775 to 1783, was a pivotal moment in US history as the colonies waged a war for independence against the British Empire. Under the leadership of figures like George Washington, the Continental Army fought valiantly for liberty and self-determination. In 1783, the Treaty of Paris officially recognized the United States as an independent nation, marking the end of British rule. The Constitution of the United States was then drafted in 1787, providing the framework for a federal government and establishing a system of checks and balances. Westward expansion. With the establishment of the new nation, the United States embarked on a period of westward expansion. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 doubled the country's size, and pioneers seeking land, opportunity, and adventure ventured westward along the Oregon Trail and other routes. This expansion came at the expense of Native American tribes, leading to conflicts and forced removal, such as the tragic Trail of Tears. As territories were added and settled, the debate over the expansion of slavery intensified, setting the stage for the Civil War. The Civil War and Emancipation. The Civil War, 1861 to 1865, was a defining chapter in US history, pitting the northern states, known as the Union, against the southern states, known as the Confederacy. The war was largely fought over the issue of slavery, as the North sought to preserve the Union and end the institution of slavery, while the South sought to maintain states' rights, including the right to own slaves. After 4 years of intense fighting and significant loss of life, the Union emerged victorious, and in 1865, the 13th Amendment to the Constitution abolished slavery, marking a critical step toward achieving equality and civil rights for all Americans. Reconstruction and industrialization. Following the Civil War, the period of Reconstruction sought to rebuild the South and integrate newly freed slaves into society. However, Reconstruction faced significant challenges, and the struggle for civil rights and racial equality continued for decades. Meanwhile, the nation experienced rapid industrialization and urbanization, with technological advancements driving economic growth. The construction of railroads, the expansion of industry, and the rise of big business transformed the US into an economic powerhouse. The Progressive Era and World Wars. In the early 20th century, the Progressive Era saw efforts to address social issues and improve working conditions. The women's suffrage movement culminated in the 19th Amendment, granting women the right to vote in 1920. As the world entered the era of world wars, the US played a significant role, first in World War I, 1917 to 1918, and then in World War II, 1941 to 1945. The nation's involvement in these global conflicts solidified its position as a key player on the world stage. The Great Depression and the New Deal. The 1930s brought the Great Depression, an economic crisis that devastated the nation. Millions were left unemployed, businesses collapsed, and poverty and desperation were widespread. In response, President Franklin D. Roosevelt introduced the New Deal, a series of government programs aimed at providing relief, recovery, and reform. The New Deal encompassed initiatives such as the Civilian Conservation Corps, the Works Progress Administration, and Social Security, laying the foundation for the modern welfare state and bringing relief to millions of Americans. The Civil Rights Movement and Cold War. The mid-20th century witnessed the Civil Rights Movement, a pivotal struggle for racial equality and an end to segregation. Iconic figures like Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks led peaceful protests and inspired change, culminating in the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. During the Cold War, the US and the Soviet Union engaged in a tense standoff, with each seeking to spread its ideological influence worldwide. The space race exemplified this competition, with the US achieving a major victory by landing astronauts on the moon in 1969. Contemporary America. In the latter half of the 20th century, the US experienced significant social and cultural changes. The counterculture movement, civil rights activism, and calls for gender equality reshaped American society. The 21st century brought new challenges, including the war on terror, economic recessions, and debates over immigration and healthcare. The election of Barack Obama in 2008 marked a historic moment as the first African American to hold the presidency. Cultural contributions and global leadership. Throughout its history, the United States has been a melting pot of cultures, with immigrants contributing to its diversity and vibrancy. American culture has had a global impact, from Hollywood movies to jazz music, from technological innovations to scientific breakthroughs. As a superpower, the US plays a central role in global affairs, from diplomacy and trade to addressing pressing issues like climate change and international conflicts. Challenges and the path forward. While the US has achieved remarkable progress, it also faces ongoing challenges. Issues like income inequality, climate change, racial disparities, and partisan divisions demand attention and action. As we forge ahead, the lessons of history can guide us in building a more equitable and inclusive nation. By acknowledging and learning from the mistakes of the past, we can create a better future for all Americans. The story of US history is a saga of resilience, progress, and the pursuit of liberty and equality. From the struggles of colonial times to the transformative events of the civil rights movement, the United States has continually evolved, becoming a beacon of democracy and innovation.